awesome. So I thought of giving myself a challenge and presenting in front of the class. Like I always feared doing public speaking and being in front of a group. So I thought of like let me take a challenge and do this kind of thing. Well, we are going to go through an article, and this article is written by Susan Reid, and the article is about the all Stalin's women, gender and power in Soviet art of 1920s. So the title itself is a bit intriguing, right? Well, I would say that by reading this text, I was really, really engaged, and her writing style is extremely commendable. So I would highly recommend everyone to, just give it a chance, just read it. It's going to be really awesome. Well, before getting into the text, I would like to give you a small prelude so that you will understand, like there's a prelude to the book, right? And as a thing, I'm going to give a prelude to the socio-economic setup of this basis of this article. Okay. Well, in 1930, Stalin came to power. And when Stalin came to power, one of the main agenda of USSR was to become a progressive nation. And let's ask, like, okay, if I want to make a progressive nation, what's one of the main pillars? I want to, embrace the economic equality. So it comes down to the women empowerment. And in women empowerment, how can I implement women empowerment? Or how can I, like as a state, if I'm a political leader of the state, how can I convey the idea of women empowerment to the local masses? And that is through art, and propaganda. And I'm not saying propaganda in negative light or something. Let's take it as a neutral word, propaganda. And art includes painting, posters, speeches, mass communication, poems, text, and whatever we like to say. So that's the basis of this. So we are going to analyze what kind of art and what kind of propaganda the Soviet Union or the Soviet government put forth to the general public. So yes, I would like to take 4 main images. These are 4 arts that I randomly picked. It is not like I nitpicked these specifically, but I randomly picked, and I'm going to go through each of the artwork. Well, this is a metro construction with drill. The artwork is called the metro constructor with drill. So we can see a woman in a metro construction. That's so empowering, right? A woman is standing in a metro site. She's being a part of the economy. She's building the infrastructure. So empowering, great. Now let's go to the next picture. A woman, like a mother, right? It's a motherhood. Glory to the heroine mother. So she's building the next generation. She's building the, the people, the statesmen, the soldiers, the like the next generation of leaders. So that's what it's going to represent, right? The motherhood. Like motherhood is seen as a great, a glorified position. She's giving rise to the next generation of leaders. And now let's look at the new Moscow of 1936. Here what we see is a woman driving towards Moscow city. And what are we seeing? A woman is entering the great new, the great infrastructure development of Moscow. Like she's becoming a part of the future. That's what we are seeing here. And when we go to the next picture, in a canning factory, 1939, what are we seeing? Women are a form of collective society. They are contributing to the economy. They are working. They are making their own money. They are, they are embracing the economy. They are embracing the collective society and being a part of economy. Great. By seeing all those 4 images, what do you think? Those 4 images are woman empowerment, right? They represent woman empowerment. But let's ask one more question. Let's see from the author's eyes. Is it really woman empowerment? Let's ask, is it really woman empowerment? We saw many things, right? We saw the artwork being so motivating, emotionally glorifying. But did we notice something deep inside that author noticed? Well, let's ask the question, is it really woman empowerment or something else? Well, let's take the last image I discussed. A woman is driving her way to the grand Moscow city. At first glance, we see a stylish woman driving her car. She's entering the modern age. She's embracing the, the country's infrastructure. She's being part of the modern society. Well, when we come to the Reid's analysis, what we say is she's just a spectacle. She's just sitting in a car and just viewing the city. She's not an active participant of the infrastructure. She's just a viewer. Just a viewer. She's not a performer. She's just a viewer. And she symbolizes progress but does not participate in it. Well, it's just one picture. We can say it's just one picture, right? Maybe not every picture will be like that. Well, I'm going to the next picture. This is a canning factory. The women are forming a society. They are contributing to the economy. That's a productive and skilled labor, right? Well, if you look through the Reid's analysis, the labor is domestic. That's the traditional roles assigned to women by the so-called society of us. So again, there was a deeper meaning behind the image. Now let's go to the next image. Well, this is a really good, interesting image. She's a muscular woman, a heroic and bold woman working in a metro site. What can go wrong here? Well, if you look, she's at rest. She's not doing anything. She's just standing with a drill. And she's not using the drill. Here, the art is elevating her form, but not her function. She's not shown as a functioning member of the developmental team. And like this is the mystic strength and not real labor. Here we can't see any real labor. It's just a mystic strength, right? Well. Let's go to the next picture. The glory to heroic mother, right? We all got really emotionally thrilled when we see over glorified motherhood. Well, I'm saying that's a really that's a really important part of society. But here they are doing pseudo propaganda. If you see a proud mother surrounded by her healthy children, a perfect family, right? She's giving rise to a future generation of leaders. But here, what do we see? The Reid is saying the motherhood was politicized. They're glorifying, they're pseudo-glorifying the motherhood, the concept of motherhood. Her job is to raise loyal Soviet workers and not to raise children for her. She's seen as a tool. She's seen as a tool for the society. She's seen as a tool for the Soviet state. And her motherhood is not a function of her own well-being, but for the society, for the Soviet state. Well, this is Susan Reid. And let's ask what these images really show. Like, what is the reason behind these images? Like, what's the why behind these images? Like here, the images turned women into a symbol of loyalty and not subjects of power. Let me again say, you have to hear it really carefully. Women into a symbol of loyalty and not subject of power. They are sidelined. Till now, whatever history has done, they are simply repeating them with some paintbrushes. That's it. Well, here we can observe that the greater visibility of women in propaganda did not equal real liberation. Well, let's ask, okay, why did it say so? Okay, like I've painted many pictures, I've put on posters here and there, but how can you say that it didn't equal real liberation? That's a good question. Well, let's see. Well, did propaganda reflect women's real life? So, Shenotedel, I hope I pronounced it right, Shenotedel, which is the women committee in the Soviet government, was shut down in 1930. The same time these images, these posters were released, the women committee of the government was dismissed. Now, the child care, the domestic support, the community kitchen, all were neglected. They were underfunded. They were dismissed by the government. The same government that is sticking posters and spreading propaganda is dismissing all this. Is saying, no, I can't fund this. I can't fund the woman committee, but I have money to spend on propaganda. Great. Now, the nail in the coffin, I would like to say, is women were expected to do the double chore. Since the Soviet Union glorified the motherhood, they bared all hardship of taking care of their children and feeding them and looking after them. But on top of that, they were laborers. They had to clean the house. They had to work in the factory. They had to, do their professional work. On top of that, and maternity leaves and all all great things that we have right now wasn't much present at that time. Well, that's happening. So I would like to, there's a purpose for this slide. Let's ask, in Soviet state, what did it mean to be a good woman? Wow, we are defining what a good woman is. Great. Like, how did Stalinist ideology define a good woman? A good woman is one of submission. She sacrifice, but she's strength also. But she represents submission. She represents sacrifice, but also she's representing strength. Well, next, she loved the leader. She was a big admirer of the leader. That's a perfect woman. She admires Stalin. And her number one job is to raise the next generation of social leaders. And she should be self-sacrificing. She should be humble. She should be disciplined. Like, we are literally saying this is what a good woman is. Wow. This is happening in 1930s in Russia, you have to remember. In Soviet Union, sorry. Well, when I presented this to one of my friends, I was doing a mock demo of this, and he asked me one question. Isn't this at least a try to move in the right direction? At least they are moving in the right direction, right? They are at least doing some posters, they are at least doing some propaganda, they may be moving in the right direction. But if you look into the early Soviet state of 1917 to 1930, the Shenotedel, the women's department, was actually established in 1919. The same Shenotedel which Stalin's government dismissed in 1930. You have to remember that. And in 1970s, Lenin era reforms, they reformed divorce laws, they reformed abortion rights, civil marriage, and the same Lenin government established dormitories, nurseries, proposed to relieve domestic burden, which was again underfunded in Stalinist era. So whatever good thing they did in this time, they reversed in Stalinist era. Wow. So it's actually, the society was going in backwards rather than the forward movement of the society was actually taking a U-turn. Cool. Well, now the author is asking, where did it go wrong? Why did it all happen? Like, what is the inner meaning? Like, why did this inner meaning happen? Like, why this entire revolt happened? Or like you know, the part where she's criticizing this, right? So what's the main point she's using to criticize it? Well, she's saying that the history is repeating itself. Throughout the history, if we see, the woman society was always a part of workforce. They were always part of labor force. But what was missing was that they were never part of the leadership layer. They were never part of the decision-making group. And that's exactly what's missing here. Again, the history is repeating itself. And it's pretty clear here. The art made them visible throughout the Soviet Union. But the system made sure that they stayed powerless. They were represented as glorified mothers. They were represented as the spectators of infrastructure development, the spectators of modernity, but the system made sure they stayed powerless. And by that, and with that, the text gets over. But I don't want to stop though. Actually, I want to add a little text to it. Let's ask, why did this happen? Why did this, the propaganda and the art is showing one picture, but the reality is in complete contradiction with the, the propaganda or the art. So why did it happen? Like, I have no problem with showing emotions, but if the emotion is in direct contradiction with the actuality, then I have a problem. So let's ask, why did it happen? Like, what's the deep question? Like, why did it happen? I'm not asking the surface layer theoretical answer, the fundamental question. Like in Malayalam, which is the place I'm coming from, there's a word, adittara theduga, which means go to the root cause and find the answer. Whatever answer whatever we go above that, we won't be able to solve the problem. And I would like to leave that question to you guys. But I will give you a small hint, or like not a hint, I will give you a small quote to think about. This is from Karl Marx, one of my favorite. And I would like you guys to think about this. Why did the propaganda show something and in actuality it was different? And I hope the answer lies in this quote. And that's it. Thank you guys. I'm Rishi. You have been excellent audience for me, buddies. Thank you.